achievement I have viewed above, we can strongly say that the King Suryavaraman II, he was brilliant, he was a great warrior and great architect that has brought civilization of Khmer Empire up to its pinnacle. Culturally, Khmer kings got polygamy. Benefically, the king got more opportunities having royal successors. It's easy to control the kingdom if they have more princesses, because they were designated to the high position in the palace. Moreover, to mimic the Hindu custom to raise the king to become a god, he needed to derive the energy from the woman. The royal law, the eldest prince among only queens, was nominated as a royal heir. Not different, the King Suryavaraman II, he's got 5 queens and thousands of concubines, and they always accompany the husband even to war. The sculpture on the west wing of the South Gallery depicted. In the royal compound, there was a Supreme Court. The king he opened for trials 2 times every day. The king got 4 or 5 judges for assistants. The trial process based on proofs and witnesses, but in some cases, they couldn't find who is guilty and who is innocent. So they used the religious law. For the Khmerers, they would call both parties come to the hall or the temple, and there was a priest there preparing 2 pieces of sticky rice mixed with beans, sesame, coconuts, and honey. After that, the priest chanted rituals to the rice and then placed the sticky rice on the sun for a couple hours and asked the gods come as witness. Upon the priest giving the sticky rice to each one, the priest would explain that the actual guilty after eating this sticky rice will die here. The blood will come out from the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears until death, and the soul will be plunged into hell and get tortured miserably. And for the innocent will eat this sticky rice nicely, and the time is not yet late if you confess your guiltiness. You just compensate for all the losses and you will be free. For the officers, if the convicts not confess, they would force him go into the jungle to get eaten by animals for 3 days. If he still survives, he would be regarded as no mistakes. Typically, in this kind of prosecution custom is still practiced in Khmer society until present day. With the same story, they would go to the Buddhist temple wherever they could have ascetic sages that can organize the process. In the national court, before the accusers and convicts give the testimonies to the judges, they are required to drink the holy water that they will give the right testimony only. For the royal procession to the ceremony by Chinese Junior Jiu Takwan, the procession was fascinating. Number 1, the infantry with weapons and shields, wore in armor, and put on an animal-headed decoration helmet, came in the front, and some of them holding victory flags in different colors came after. Number 2, the military musical orchestra holding all types of traditional instruments like big trumpets, conches, drums, and gongs came after. Number 3, followed by a big firm of girls. They had between 300 to 500, more than a half of them in the front, dressed in army suit and holding spears and shields in hand, and the rest of them wearing a magnificent cloth with colorful patterns and got knit and embroidered, and the hair got dressed with flowers and a knot on top. This group holding lighting candles even in daytime. Number 4, after that, a firm of the religious people such as priests, Brahmins, astrologists, and bandits. They held the holy manuscripts that used for the ceremony. Number 5. Consecutively, the soldiers with bows and arrows coming behind, and the commanders, they riding on an elephant sheltered with parasols, got embroidered and painted in gold. Number 6. A herd of ox carts and horse carts transport the royal appliances and the religious altars. They were also painted in gold and gilded in gold, all beautiful and unique. Number 7. Behind this herd, there were big soldiers, cavalries, and commanders escorting and parading a huge white elephant decorated with precious gemstones. Even his tusks were gilded in gold. In addition, there were more than 10 parasols, royal flags, and fans, all adorned with gemstones and embroidered. The handles were gilded in gold. On top of this elephant was the majesty King Suryavaraman II, holding the sacred sword in his hand and wearing the royal crown on his head. Number 8. After the king was followed by the royal family, 5 queens laying on the hammock and concubines sitting on the cart pulled by men. Each of them had many royal servants and entourages serving them along the way. Some held baskets with fruits, foods, and flowers, and also musicians to entertain them. Number 9. At the last procession, there were 5 or 6 women holding a broom in their hand to sweep the path to erase the traces. If the royal procession came through the village, the populace must came to obey and get the boons from the king, but they did not have privilege to see the king's face. They had to kneel down and head down to the ground until the procession passed over. Exclusively, everything just belongs to the king. The main religion was Hinduism. There were 2 principal gods broadly worshipped, Shiva and Vishnu sect. But Buddhism was also found in some parts of the country. The Hindu caste have been practiced strictly in Angkor period. There were 5 big classes. 1. Maharaja, the great king, represents to the whole body. 2. Brahman, priests, scholars, and teachers, represent to the head. 3. Kshatriya, the rulers, administrators, and warriors, represent to the chest. 4. Vaishya, agriculturalists and merchants, represent to the belly. 5. Sudra, laborers and service providers, represent to the limbs. And the country cannot go without any caste. Every caste could not marry across. They had to marry in the same caste. All the jobs of each caste were determined by the priests. The low caste people, they did not have much privileges and worked for the higher caste. They accessed different doors. They couldn't get education. They just do whatever the high caste people want them to do. They were like an object. Having strong faith, they were satisfied with what they were bound with. They believed that in their previous life, they were animals, or they got sins. They just came up from the hell. So this life, they have to accept everything and do it well. Just prepare for their next better life. Khmer people in the past, mostly clever, healthy, faithful, and devoted. The men had smaller stature, but big muscles from doing physical works. And they had dark skin. Women, they had white skin, wore big earrings, ornaments, and got headdressed. Most of them were topless, even the queens. Right hand was considered as pure, but left hand was dirty. In the morning, they got up early, washed face, monkeys picked, read books, and chanted rituals before and after having meals. After all, we can see that Angkorean people, they worked hard, they were loyal, faithful, and devoted. They had strong belief in reincarnation and paradise. They had great knowledges before they did something. They had sought very carefully and intensively. All of these elements inspire Angkorean people could make the miracle by hands. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please don't forget to tap on subscribe to retrieve my next video that gonna view about Angkor Wat Temple construction, restoration work, and perspective. Thank you so much indeed.